All right, guys, moving on to 4.2, dividing fractions. Add that to your table of contents and make sure you put the question, how do you divide fractions, with a box underneath it so we can go back and answer it after the lesson. Okay, so guys, you don't need to take any notes right now. I just need you to simply listen at the moment. If you want to take notes, you can, or if you want to follow along, we are 5 of our math book. But I want to kind of give you a scenario. That's just as I usually try to do, bring math into the real world. So we're going to pretend we have a burrito right now. And we're going to, let's draw a nice little burrito. Okay, and my problem is not going to be exactly like the one in the book is, but you can just kind of follow along. So basically, we have 3/4 cup of salsa for making these burritos right now. And each burrito requires 1/8 cup of salsa. And so we want to know how many burritos we can make. So sorry, I should have read this a little bit more. We have 3/4 cup of salsa. I'm going to change this up. And each burrito requires 1/8 cup of salsa. So I'm going to draw my jar. Just my nice jar of salsa. That's really, really spicy. And we are going to, for the sake of making equivalent marks here, I'm just going to draw a rectangle. We're going to divide that into fourths because we have 3/4 cup of salsa left. So basically we have this much left and this is already eaten. This is what we ate a week ago with our chips and salsa when we had our friends over. So we have 1/3 left over, but a 3/4 left over, I'm sorry. And each burrito takes 1/8 of a cup of salsa, and we want to know how many burritos we have to make. So we're going to take these 3/4 and now we're going to kind of look at it as a whole, but we're going to cut the whole into 8s this time. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I have 8s left. So I have this right here, guys. This is the 2/8 of salsa that we do not have, because remember we ate all of this. These are all the 8s of the salsa we have left in the jar. I want you to think about right now why we look at it as a whole jar, because we're not dividing the whole jar into 8s because we don't have a whole jar. We're dividing what we have left of that jar into 8s. So now that we've done that, we can go back and we can see that here is 1/8, and here is another 8th, and another 8th, and another 8th, and another, and another. So you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8s of the jar left, of salsa left, which means that if each burrito needs 1/8 cup of salsa, how many burritos can we make? We can make 6 burritos. Okay. I hope that made sense to you. I'm trying to think of another way I can do it. One of my teachers, when I was in school, did like a garden. Let's try that. So we have a whole garden here. Actually, maybe we'll do 5 people share around. I'm gonna save the garden for later, actually. We're gonna do B on page 85, where it says 5 people share a 1/2 pound of cheese. So we have 5 people. Pause, this isn't working. All right, we have 5 people. and we have a half a pound of cheese. Okay, so if there's 5 of us and we're sharing a half a pound equally, we want to know how much we each receive. So I'm going to draw my cheese, and I'm going to say that this whole thing is 1 pound, but we have a half a pound left, right? This right here has been eaten. We don't have this anymore. Once again, we ate it yesterday when we had cheese and crackers with our friends. So, if there's 5 of us, we need to split this equally. But we need to think of it as a whole. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, let's say this is Miss G. This is Miss Meadows. This is, let's say this is Miss King. And this is Miss, who guys, give me someone. Miss Mueller. And then we have here Dr. Perry. He's meeting with us too. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means we know what so we've got our half divided off, right? They're in sections. We've all got our little piece, but the question is asking what fraction of a piece do we get? And it's not 1/5, because it would be 1/5 if it was a whole pound, but it's not a whole pound, guys. Remember, it's half of a pound, this section right here. We ate all this yesterday, so we have to go back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and once again, pretend like that was there, so we can see that if we had this other half here, it would equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It would be 1/10 of a piece of cheese, because we didn't split a pound, we split a half a pound. So we'd each get 1/10. All right, that's just kind of for you guys to get a visual and to see what it would really look like. But I'm gonna show you a quick way. It's called an algorithm. It is the actual formula and the method or steps you take to divide fractions. We don't need to draw a picture every time. We don't need to draw a model every time, but it helps. All right, so now you do need to take your notes back out, and we're going to add a vocabulary word to our journals, and it's reciprocal. Reciprocal or reciprocals. So go ahead and get that written. And basically, I'm going to give you the verbal definition, and then I'll give you an example. Reciprocal is when the numerator and denominator of a fraction are flipped. So go ahead and pause me and get that written, and then I will show you an example. Right, so if we have 3/4, the reciprocal of that is 4/3. You see how you just kind of flip them, flip flop. So what I want you to do right now is I want you as a group on your whiteboards, I don't care, on the table, if you're feeling like a rebel, I want you to find the reciprocals of 2/9, 1/8, 2/3, and here's a tricky one, 5. You need to think about that one. You need to do something before you find its reciprocal. All right, go ahead and do that, and we'll get started on how to divide fractions. All right, so hopefully after you pause me, you guys came up with 9/2, 8/1, which equals what, guys? 8. 3/2 for 2/3, and 1/5. And I hope that you guys figured out that you had to turn that into a fraction before you found its reciprocal. Okay, So now that we know what reciprocals are, they are going to become quite handy and quite necessary when we start to divide fractions. Okay. There's a little jingle, I guess, or a saying that I want you guys to remember whenever you go to multiply a fraction, or not multiply, divide a fraction by a fraction. And it is skip, flip, simplify, and multiply. And sometimes you can do one of these before the other. Sometimes it could be skip, flip, multiply, and simplify, or sometimes it will be easier if you skip, flip, cross reduce, or cross simplify and multiply. All right, so let's have a little fun. We need a cool way to remember this, and studies show that if you create hand movements to words, it helps your brain remember better. So I am giving you a challenge right now. You guys are gonna come up with some sort of hand gesture. I don't know, you could do like a secret handshake. It'd be really cool if someone actually did a flip, but don't get too crazy. I don't know if we have any gymnasts in here right now. Maybe Ella from King's class could, but skip, flip, simplify, and multiply. Missing an L there. Come up with some cool little jingle. And maybe Miss Meadows you guys can pick your favorite one and she can film it and send it to me. It's up to you. I don't know how much time you guys have or if you're on a time crunch, but have fun with it. I'm gonna give you, pause me, and maybe like 5 or 10 minutes to come up with something cool to remember this. All right. All right, hopefully you guys came up with some cool stuff. Can't wait to see it. I'm gonna write this back up again. Skip, flip, simplify, multiply. And remember, sometimes these can switch. I want you guys to really get in the habit of simplifying before you multiply. That's when we cross reduce, because trust me, you'll make less mistakes. Because when you multiply the numbers, they get bigger and it gets harder to reduce. So we got to get in the practice of that. All right, we're into that. We got to make that a habit. 5 2/3. All right, here's our first problem. So the first thing we need to do is skip 5/9 divided by 2/3. So we're gonna skip the 5. Or the 5/9. Okay, there's your skip. Then we are going to flip. So since we skipped the 5/9, we are going to flip the 2/3. What is this called again? They are what? Reciprocals. Here's the flip. My children are arguing in the background. Hopefully you can't hear them. I'm gonna pause you for a second. Because I have 2 small children, I'm going to strangle. Okay. Okay, I'm back. And it's okay, everybody's alive here, it's fine. Okay, all right, so we got the skip and we got the flip. Now we're going to multiply. Oh, no, wait, sorry, see, I'm gonna erase this, hopefully you have it all. Because we're not gonna multiply first, we are going to simplify first. So we have the 5/9 divided by, remember we flipped, which is 3/2, but now we need to cross reduce. We cannot reduce the 5 and the 2 because they don't have common factors, but 3 and 9 sure do, and they are 3. The greatest common factor of the 2 is 3. So if we were to divide 3 and 3, we'd get 1. 9 and 3, we get 3. So here was our simplify. And now we can multiply. We've got our 5/3. Remember, it came from here because the 9, we were able to simplify that. And we have our 1/2. So 5 times 1, I'm going to write down this step because this is our multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6. And we have 5/6. So 5/9 divided by 2/3. Write it over here. 5/9 divided by 2/3. Remember 2/3 and 3, but you gotta remember that looks weird because we had to find the reciprocal, equals 5/6. And we can't simplify that anymore because we did it here, which is really cool. Please trust me, because if you don't simplify first, you can always do it later. Yes, that's possible, but it just gets a little bit harder to do because, like I said, your numbers are a lot bigger. That's basically all, guys. That's how you divide fractions using the algorithm. So now we're just going to practice that skill, and then hopefully you guys will be able to successfully apply it to word problems. So I want you guys to do the practice first before you move on to the independent practice, and that is page 88. Do some of these together as a class with Miss Meadows. Page 88, 1 through 7. Your assignment for today is the independent practice, page 89, and the evens. Side note from Miss Meadows, this is pretty difficult because there are a lot of word problems. They're challenging, but I know you guys, you all can do it. Word problems, yes, are challenging, but welcome to the 6th grade. And I know that you all have the capability of doing challenging things. So if you have to pull it back together and do it as a class, Miss Meadows will probably just watch you, and that's okay. We'll get better at it the more we practice. All right, guys, have at it. And just a couple more days and I'll be back. Can't wait to see you all.